for this question. If you are elected to be the Wells constituency MP, will you support the WASPI campaign to achieve a fairer transitional state pension arrangement for all the women born in the 1950s who were affected by the changes to state pensions? Andy?
Yes. It's in our manifesto. Clearly, women have been very, very poorly treated. People don't make decisions, they don't plan things, for a day or a week at a time. And people in work are looking to do long-term planning. I know this. I'm approaching the age when I would like to be retiring. It's not yet, and in fact, it gets pushed on even further. But at least I thought I would be retiring around about 65. For the women who've been actually caught, and the WASPI women you're referring to, I presume they were retiring at age 60. And they have been extremely badly served by both the coalition and the lot we've got in at the moment. And so, in the manifesto, we're very clearly going to put that right. Thank you.
So a number of constituents who are part of the WASPI campaign have been in touch with me over the course of the last 2 years, and I feel a lot of their pain. It is not something that I voted on. It was voted on in favour of by my predecessor, and the reality is that whether or not that was the right vote at the time, it has put a number of women of a certain age in this constituency in a position where they feel hard done by. The overall intention of what they were voting on back in the last Parliament, I think, is right. It's right that pension age equalises, but it's also right that alongside that, the amount that people receive in their pension is equalised as well. So I understand why it was voted on, but people feel that they didn't get sufficient notice. I've met people who have said that they gave up work thinking that retirement was 2 years away, and they offered to look after their grandchildren so that their daughter or son could go out to work. And when you meet people like that who then find out that actually their retirement has been delayed by 2 or 3 years, you can absolutely understand their grievance. I don't know whether this...
6 years.
I don't know whether this counts as supporting the campaign or not. I have said that I won't sign the pledge because I don't want to be bound by something, because I think as we sort out with tuition fees, it's sometimes foolish to say things in campaigns that in election campaigns that you then can't deliver in Parliament. But every single lady who has been to see me, who is a part of the WASPI campaign or has been caught up in that equalisation, I have represented their views to government diligently. I have pursued those issues with the government on their behalf, and I have been to all of the debates that the WASPI campaign locally have asked me to go to, and I hope that they feel that I've therefore given them a voice, even if actually I think what was the overall intention of the equalisation of the state pension, I think is probably the right thing to have done. I don't criticise Tesla voting for it in the slightest. I think it was the right thing to do. The problem is that people say they didn't get enough notice, and that's put a lot of people in a very difficult position.
Lorna.
Yes, I want to look back, really, going back to the Labour government, Tony Blair's Labour government, and then the coalition, and then the Conservative governments, and we are 1 trillion in debt. That's pounds, 1.7 trillion in debt. And so it's no surprise that we have this knee-jerk reaction that we have to do something about the pension crisis. So this is part of the reason why I'm standing for the Christian People's Alliance, because there are some profoundly things wrong in this whole process of our political system, and so we'll be giving a fresh view to the whole financial system, which no doubt you'll probably hear from me later on. Thank you.
Tessa.
Thank you. I was born in the can you hear me? No. Yes, okay, that's right. I was born in the 1950s, and I've met a number of the women who were concerned. Yes, I did vote for the age of pensions. I think most of us would expect to have equal pension age for retirement. What I didn't agree to at any point was the idea that governments and successive governments have done this, both the Labour government in the 90s and the Conservatives later on and the coalition. What didn't happen was people weren't given notice, and that's the real point that is a problem for the WASPy women. Nobody had a chance to actually, a lot of people didn't even receive letters to tell them that the changes were taking place originally. And that's appalling, because if you have notice, you can actually you can plan to make some changes to cover the gap that may occur at some later point. So I think we have to all take some criticism for this. I'm perfectly happy to retire at exactly the same time as any man, but I think what we have to do is make sure that people are treated fairly. The answer to this is political will. It's not actually that there's a problem with the finances. No pension pot, other than the teachers really, have a defined specific pot of money that this is going into, other than of course local authorities. But actually, all of our pensions come out of the general pot that government uses all the time. So I think it's really important that we impress on the government our will to actually make sure that women are treated fairly. Thank you.
Moving on, candidate.